Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Games Gadgets Galore, the #1 radio show for all things tech and gaming. As per the norm, we have our regular contributors, Jordan to my right and Matt across from me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So, first order of business is the headlines. As we all know, these past couple of weeks has been fizzing with news for both games and gadgets alike. Steve Jobs passed away recently, the day after the iPhone 4S was announced. It's a terrible loss to the industry and Apple as a company.
Yeah, it's a real shame since he was one of the greatest pioneers in the technology world and one of the greatest minds it has known.
The iPhone 4S launched over the weekend with people queuing outside the O2 shop to get their mitts on one. What do you think, Matt?
It's dreadful, isn't it? Stocks took a hard knock because it's the same phone with the antenna moved and it doesn't even look any different. The new iOS5 looks a lot more interesting with its new voice activation system called Siri.
I'm going to have to agree with you there, Matt. You're reviewing the new update later, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
Also, BlackBerry's users have had a nightmare of a time last week with their messaging system and their email system all went down for 3 days, causing havoc to business and 15-year-old girls alike. Jordan, you're a BlackBerry user.
I can see where this is going.
I just want to know what you think.
Listen, BlackBerry's out rubbish. It was an experimental update they were playing with, and everything went belly up at their end. There is nothing wrong with the devices.
Alright, so the company's at fault.
At least I can make the calls with my left hand.
Well, this is very true. In gaming this week, however, Forza Motorsport 4 released over last weekend. Here's a clip.
Naming a car company after yourself is fine if you're called Ferrari or Pagani or Lamborghini or even Morgan. It's not such a good idea if your last name is something stupid.
We will be reviewing that very soon after this, actually. So, if that doesn't make you want to keep listening, then I don't know what will. Battlefield 3 is set to release at the end of the week. Here's the trailer. Another one of the big blockbusters there. There'll be a battle of the threes this year, with Gears 3, Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3 and Saints Row 3 all doing battle to claim the crown of King of Games this season.
There is only one game this year that's worth mentioning. Skyrim next month.
Good point. It's set to be the biggest RPG in a long time. As a result, we'll probably no doubt cover it next month too. So, Forza came out last weekend, and it's safe to say I've been glued to it.
For the purposes of this show, I'm sure.
Yeah, the show. Anyway, Forza Motorsport 4 is the biggest racing game of the year, and it is worthy of such a title. The graphics are immense for a console 6 years into its lifespan. The Xbox is still producing ridiculously good graphics. The car models are all carefully recreated, although they do tend to look a little too glossy. The game totes a roster of over 80 manufacturers with 500 cars to pore over, with more being added every month with DLC. The crazy upgrade system is still there, allowing players the highest level of engine customization they have come to expect with the series. The hyper-realistic tuning setups are there still, allowing players the same level of fine-tuning that top-flight racing teams have. The Top Gear branding is a bit over the top. They are really in your face about it. The Top Gear thing has already been done, don't forget, by the biggest flop of last year, Gran Turismo 5, getting the license first. But they didn't really capitalise on the fact. There is classic solid gameplay that has become synonymous with the series, with options that can change the game from an arcade racer to a very serious simulator. The AI isn't as aggressive as it has been in past installments too. They still manage to keep races interesting. Online, they have put in some really cool game modes like car soccer and tag as well. There are multi-class events as well as traditional track races. New to the series though is the Rivals mode, which allows you to post lap times on a leaderboard and lets your friends try beat your time.
It's similar to the Need for Speed's autolog in that sense.
Yeah, it is. The game has everything a fan of racing simulators would want, although the weather effects would have been rather nice too. However, it is the best in the series and pummels Gran Turismo into the ground. I'll give it 5 out of 5 stars.
So it's a good game then?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, that concludes the gaming segment of the show. Now gadgets. Matt, you have your review of the iOS5, right?
Yes, I'm going to look at the new iOS for the iPhone and the iPad. At first glance, you would see the interface and think it's the same thing, and it is in effect. The release notes say they have some 200 new features. These include Twitter support for pictures, similar to YouTube support for videos. The newsstand, a place where the digital versions of magazines and newspapers are all collated. The new iPad 2 and iPhone 4's devices don't need to connect to a Mac or a PC for them to be ready to use. Another cool feature is the iCloud. When you sync with the iCloud, you can automatically receive updates and backs up all of your files to it. That's the main chunk of the new operating system. There are loads of new little features too. The new iMessage system is a new rival to the popular BlackBerry messaging system, except it will be more reliable. For an update and device with so much hype, you just can't help but feel a bit unsatisfied. But all in all, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Well, that's interesting. Is it better than Windows Mobile and Android?
Oh yeah, way better.
Oh well, there you go then. So unfortunately it's come to that time again where I must say goodbye to my two contributors, Matt and Jordan. Thank you again.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
It is also time to say goodbye to you, my wonderful audience. The executive producer of this show has been Dina McGrath, and this has been an independent production for Radio 1. See you next time, where we have a Christmas release special.